This is Bishop Dr. Truman Burst. Master Herbalist, coming to you from Good Shepherd Ministries.
The microphones are open. Go ahead and ask a question or suggest a topic, okay?
All right.
Do you have a topic or a question?
Not right now.
Okay, as we get going along, let us know what you want to hear about, because we want to make sure and talk about subjects and topics that you want to know about. And and my phone is ringing now. There we go. That means that the broadcast has formally started. And so...
I have a question.
Yeah, what is your question, please?
Where do you... Well, I wanted to know the history of hepatitis B.
Hepatitis B. So, yes, so I'm going to go ahead now and start muting the microphones so that we can, all right, hold on. Okay, I've muted them. I'm muting all the microphones. And Brother Cunningham, you're calling in. How are you? Yes, go. Hello. Hello, Brother Cunningham. Oh, it looks like he has dialed the wrong number. He dialed me, and got all kinds of things going off over here. All right. And the question was about hepatitis. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pull up a recent report that I did. I'm going to pull up my emails right now and look at this report that I created regarding hepatitis. So I'm going to come over here and type in this. And I'm going to go over into here and click on that, and I'm doing a send receive. So we're going to have to wait a moment while my computer does a send receive and gives me the information that I want. It's not ready to, it has to be refreshed. I did turn off my email, so it wasn't competing with the broadcast. So give me a moment here to bring up the information that because recently I was asked that question about hepatitis B. And so here we go. I'm down here in the sent column here in a minute. And I'll drink a little kombucha mushroom. There it goes. Now it's finally populating on my email so that I can grab some research that I recently did regarding hepatitis. So I'm going to type in hepatitis again, and there it is. There's hepatitis and sickle cell anemia, and we're specifically talking about hepatitis B. And so if we're talking about hepatitis B, and I'm going to get down through here, we're talking about hepatitis. Refers to the word hepatitis. It refers to an it refers to an inflammatory condition of the liver. That's what hepatitis is, and it's commonly caused by a viral infection. It's a virus. So the source of it is a virus, commonly. But there are other possible causes of hepatitis. And let me just pull this over here a little bit so we can have a better look at this report. And I'm going to have to, there we go. It still doesn't have enough screen here to give me all the information that I'm looking at. So what we're talking about, there we go, finally getting to the other side of this. Let me, hold on folks while I fit this into the screen, because I'm making a video of this that you will be able to get next week when you go to the website herbalhealthreview.com. And this is still not fitting into the screen, so I'm going to pull this over here where I can actually see this report, because it's this report's not fitting into the screen the way it should. And I wanted to try to make sure that you had a chance to see what it is that I'm actually talking about. But this is going on. Anyway, hepatitis. We'll go over this again. What is it? It refers to an inflammatory condition of the liver. It's commonly caused by a viral infection, but there are other possible causes of hepatitis. These include problems with the autoimmune system and being unable to to deal with this hepatitis, and this hepatitis that occurs as a secondary result of medications. The drugs, medications can cause hepatitis. Drugs, toxins, and alcohol are generally the causes of hepatitis. And this autoimmune hepatitis is a disease that occurs when your body makes antibodies against your liver tissue. And the liver is located on the upper quadrant of your abdomen. It performs many critical functions that affect the metabolism throughout your body, including, and we got incoming calls here. Yes, Brother Cunningham.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get I'm trying to order something. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Do you want that telephone number?
Yeah, give it to me.
Yes, sir. It's 541-791-8400. If for any of the products we're talking about, 541-791-8400. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bless you, brother. All right. So, and we have to be multitasking here and very nimble, and in order to do all the things we do. So we're talking about the liver, and that's right here in the upper quadrant of your stomach and the abdomen, and it performs many critical functions that affect the metabolism throughout your body, including the bile production that's essential to digestion. It's filtering out toxins from the body. And it's, let's see if I can bring this over into the screen capture here. I'm going to try, although it's not fitting very well. The liver's, so it's filtering the toxins from the body. It excretes, it gets rid of bilirubin, cholesterol, hormones, and drugs. It's got to filter all that out. It has a tough job. And the liver, its job is metabolism of carbohydrates, sugars, fats, and proteins. It's got to break them down. The liver is involved in the activation of enzymes, which are specialized proteins essential to the metabolic functions. So you've got to have these enzymes. And the liver is involved in the storage of glycogen, minerals, and vitamins, especially A, D, E, and K. And the liver, it does the synthesis of plasma proteins such as albumin and a synthesis of clotting factors so that the blood can clot. And that's where that K comes in. And according to the Centers of Disease Control Prevention, CDC, there are 4.4 million Americans currently living with chronic hepatitis. And many, many more people don't even know that they have it. Viral infections of the liver are classified as hepatitis, including hepatitis A, B, C, D, and E, and so all of these are classified as hepatitis A, B, C, D, and E. And then hepatitis A is a milder version of the disease, and hepatitis C and D are more severe. And let me grab this. There we go. And the treatment options, they vary depending on what form of hepatitis you have, and what caused the infection. That's what we're dealing with here. Now, the treatment and what caused the infection are the focus of how we have to treat it. You can prevent some forms of hepatitis through immunizations, they claim, or lifestyle precautions. And I favor lifestyle precautions because the system is unethical, and it's putting mercury and all kinds of things that you wouldn't even think that they would dare to put in a vaccine for immunizations. It's in there, and it's garbage, and it's causing all kinds of secondary problems. So I'm really not so hot on immunizations. I'm really hot on getting rid of the inflammation, feeding the liver, working on the liver. So let's take a look at the 5 types of viral hepatitis. Okay, hepatitis A. Hepatitis A. That type derives from an infection with the hepatitis A virus, HAV. This type of hepatitis is most commonly transmitted by consuming food or water contaminated with feces from a person infected with hepatitis A. And that's hepatitis A, being contaminated water, food or water that's contaminated. Somebody didn't wash their hands, and this happens in restaurants. And then they have to close down the restaurant, and the restaurant goes out of business because people find out that somebody didn't wash their hands and they had hepatitis, and they gave it to somebody who went to that restaurant. And it's something that commonly happens. Now, hepatitis B, this type derives from an infection with the hepatitis B virus, HBV. This type is transmitted through puncture wounds or contact with infectious body fluids, such as blood, saliva, or semen. and injecting drug use, having sex with an infected partner, or this hepatitis B, or sharing a razor with an infected person. It increases your risk of getting hepatitis B. It's estimated by the CDC, which is a dishonest organization, a bunch of criminals really, and doing awful things and giving you terrible information. And quite frankly, they're part of a depopulation agenda. That's right, the CDC. And a lot of other government entities are as well. Anyway, that's a whole nother can of worms. It's estimated by the evil CDC that 1.25 million people in the United States have chronic hepatitis B, and 350 million people. And there we go. Grab that. Worldwide, they live with this chronic hepatitis B disease. That's right. 350 million people live with it, and 1.25 million in the United States. So they claim. But again, they're so dishonest. Who can believe what they say? Hepatitis C. This type comes from hepatitis C virus, HCV. And hepatitis C is transmitted through direct contact with infected body fluids, typically through sexual contact. And let me get this thing up here. Okay, typically through injection and drug use and sexual contact, and so we're talking about. And I got to pull this over here a little bit. My report won't fit in the screen. It's driving me bats trying to pull this big report across here. But we're talking about hepatitis C. And I'm going to pull it over here where I can see it. And I got to stay with me here while I try to fit this report into the screen, and it won't fit. A lot of fun here, folks. Maybe I could do that, and maybe that'll work. Maybe, and probably not. Okay, it's still not fitting, and I'm having really a lot of fun trying to read a report that won't fit into the screen. But we're talking about hepatitis C, and typically through injections and drug use. In the United States, approximately 2.7 million Americans are currently living with a chronic form of hepatitis C, which is a virus, a cause to hepatitis, transmitted through direct contact with infected body fluids and typically through drugs and injections and sharing injections and so forth. Hepatitis D, like David, this is also called delta hepatitis. Hepatitis D is a serious liver disease caused by the hepatitis D virus. It's HDV. And HDV is contracted through puncture wounds or contact with infected blood hepatitis and infected blood. And the hepatitis D is a rare form of hepatitis that occurs in conjunction with hepatitis B infection. It is very uncommon in the United States, hepatitis D. And then there's hepatitis E. And E is a waterborne disease caused by the hepatitis E virus. And hepatitis E is mainly found in areas with poor sanitation and is typically caused by ingesting fecal matter. This disease is uncommon in the United States. However, cases of hepatitis E have been reported in the Middle East and Asia and Central America and Africa, according to reports from the CDC. And we've got an open mic, and I'm going to have to go and find it and close it up here. Stay with me while I go do that. And now we're muting the microphones again. Okay, so that we got rid of that one mic that was open. So stay with me here as we are talking about hepatitis and all the various forms. And let me get back to that report now. And we were talking about hepatitis E, which is it's been reported in the Middle East and Asia and Central America and Africa. Now, hepatitis A and E are normally contracted from eating contaminated food or drinking contaminated water. And hepatitis B, C, and D are contracted through contaminated blood. These forms of hepatitis can be either acute or chronic, and types B and C usually become chronic. So, causes of non-viral hepatitis. Let's talk about that. Alcohol hepatitis can be caused by liver damage from excessive alcohol consumption. And this is sometimes referred to as an alcoholic hepatitis. The alcohol causes the liver to swell and become inflamed. And other toxic causes include overuse of medication or exposure to poisons will cause this type of damage to the liver and causing hepatitis. And an autoimmune disease. If you've got some type of an autoimmune, where the immune system may mistake the liver as a harmful object and begin to attack it, hindering the liver function. That's an autoimmune disease, hepatitis. Now, the common symptoms of hepatitis. If you have forms of hepatitis that are usually chronic, hepatitis B and C, you may not have symptoms in the beginning. Symptoms may not occur until liver damage occurs. And the signs and symptoms of acute hepatitis appear quickly. They include fatigue, flu-like symptoms, dark urine, a pale stool, abdominal pain, loss of appetite, unexplained weight loss, yellow skin, and eyes, which may be signs of jaundice of the liver. And since chronic hepatitis develops slowly, these signs and symptoms may be too subtle to notice. You mistake it for something else. You just got the flu, and you're just run down because you haven't been eating right, and you're not cleaning out good, and so forth. Then you mistake it. You think that it's something else. Maybe you haven't been getting enough sleep, and all of these things then play into it and make it worse. If those and you get more predisposed to flus and colds because your body's not working correctly. And since chronic hepatitis develops so slow, you may not notice the symptoms. Now, how is hepatitis diagnosed? A physical examination. And this is one thing, I believe in going to a medical doctor and getting a diagnosis, although they're also wrong sometimes. So that isn't 100% either. But at least if you've had a diagnosis, you have an idea of what their millions of dollars worth of equipment has found. And we then can use that valuable information to actually determine. Or of course, or you can always call someone like a naturopathic doctor, like Doc Miles out there in the Austin, Texas area, where he can do these, give you some tests and find out from a naturopathic view, and it's much better than going to a MD who's part of a very evil system of drug pushing and so forth, because that's what's going on with these doctors. They keep you sick. You keep coming. They give you one drug after another drug after another drug until you're finally dead, and that's the way people live, and that's no way to live. So when you go to people like Doc Miles out there in Austin, Texas, you call him up on the telephone, and he can give you some tests and so forth, and he can determine what's going on in your body and what to do about it. And that's why I love tests. I love people that go to Doc Miles, and then they come back and they say, okay, it's certain I've got hepatitis, and he did some tests, and he knows that I have hepatitis B. Well, then we can target it with natural remedies instead of poison drugs, and get fantastic results. And doctors, just like people that are coming to us with diabetes, and then they're telling us after 15 years they no longer have diabetes, and it's over in 3 to 6 weeks. And then they call their doctor and say, I'm not going to be taking, I know I've been on insulin for 15 years, but I'm not going to take it anymore. And they say, oh no, you've got to keep taking it the rest of your life. And you explain to them, I've been to the doctor, my medical doctor says I no longer have diabetes. So why should I continue to take medication? Oh, because, and then the medical doctors will say, because you're supposed to. Well, that's stupid. But that's the way it rolls. That's what happens. But people don't have diabetes anymore when they know about what to do about it. And we have a system, and it works. No diabetes, no liver problems, no kidney problems, and we can get a handle on these things. And we'll talk about how to deal with these hepatitis and all these viruses and so forth, because there's things we can do about it once we know what's going on, and the fact that we would know and it would be diagnosed as hepatitis B. Then we know what type of hepatitis we're dealing with, and we can target it with natural remedies, and you can live a productive, peaceful life without a lot of misery when you know what to do. And another way that they can tell is a liver biopsy. A liver biopsy is an invasive procedure that involves the doctor taking a sample of the tissue from your liver, and they do that. And this is a closed procedure. In other words, it can be it can be done through the skin with a needle and doesn't require him cutting you open. So this test allows your doctor to determine if an infection or an inflammation is present, or if the liver damage has occurred. So that's a liver biopsy. There's liver function tests. Liver function tests use blood samples to determine how efficiently the liver works. Now, these tests check how the liver clears blood waste, how it clears the blood waste and the protein and the enzymes. And high liver enzyme levels may indicate that the liver is stressed or damaged. And then there's ultrasound to test the liver. And Abdominal ultrasound uses ultrasound waves to create an image of the organs within the abdomen. This test will reveal fluid in the abdomen. If there's fluid, it's going to reveal it. And it's going to reveal an enlarged liver or liver damage with an ultrasound. And there's blood tests used to detect the presence of hepatitis virus antibodies and antigens in the blood, and it will indicate or confirm which virus, which type of virus that it is. So those.
Hello, Dr. First.
There is Doc Miles. Doc Miles, I just mentioned you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I lost my voice last week, so I couldn't call in. So I've got a lot of people listening today. So.
All right. Well, welcome. So, Doc Miles, we're talking about hepatitis. Now, I know MDs have their tests and so forth, and we just talked about some of the tests that they go through to determine the type of and how much damage there is to the liver with hepatitis. And
Right.
What do you do, Doc?
Well, I do the blood chemistry, like I told you many times, because it shows the ALT and the AST, which is your liver enzymes, and it needs to be between 15 and 30. And then some of them are like 40, 50, or 60 each one, and it's just crazy. And they have a lot of inflammation, and of course I use that liver support out of India because it really drops it down and helps to heal every cell in the liver. All the cells in the liver will redo themselves in 120 days. That's the fastest changing organ in the body. You can cut half the liver out and throw it away. The doctors can't. It will reestablish its same size because it is so overworked. You have 13 pints of blood running through your veins, and in 24 hours, you have 100 gallons of blood being processed through that liver. So it's constantly being overworked. That's why when you have bad skin conditions and a lot of allergies, that's when you know that the liver has an issue. It's stressed. It's blocked up. It's like the filter, your air conditioner filter. When it gets dirty, you change it out. But we can't change our liver out, so we have to rebuild the liver. And that's what we do by not drinking toxic materials and not doing this and not doing that, and taking that liver support because it will change it so fast. It is unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. The Chinese and the Indians over there in India, they've been doing this for 5,000 years. They know what they're doing, and they proved it time and time and time again over many generations. And I've helped people all across the United States. I've got a lot of listeners in the Austin area and in California and Florida and Georgia and all over the country now. And it's amazing, the information that they call and ask me about, and I help them with their blood chemistry and run it through my special program, and I can find all of these things. So my test is blood chemistry. That's what I do. And a lot of naturopaths, they use all these fancy equipment and this and this and this. But in Texas, they watch us so closely because I'm still fighting with the Texas Health Services, as you know. And but that's okay. I'm doing everything right to where they really don't have a leg to stand on. So the body rejuvenates itself if we get the blood chemistry in a balanced situation. Once you balance the body, it's going to heal. Period. That's the way God made us, okay? And medical doctors don't study 5 minutes in nutrition, so they don't have a clue. They just don't have a clue. They don't have the knowledge that you and I have because we've been at this for a very long time. And so we know where things are, and we know how to change the blood chemistry to make the body heal. It's just pretty amazing if we just think about what we're doing, so we're on the right track, Dr. Burst. You know that.
Yes, we are. And so there are things we can then do about it. Eating lots of garlic is a good idea. There's the
right.
shiitake, maitake, red reishi, and chaga mushrooms. That 4 mushroom extract, that's a great immunity booster. But that garlic, really, people should really take advantage. Everybody should have a garlic bulb and a ginger root in their kitchen and use it wherever they possibly can. Soups, if you make a soup, ginger and garlic. If you're having a piece of fish, then a portion of fish, then you put garlic and ginger on it. Those are so valuable. But the kombucha mushroom is going to help to give them some really probiotic support in the digestion and help the digestion. And acidophilus is going to be very helpful when you're really struggling with that liver. And of course, I use that CAC liquid that's got milk thistle and a lot of wonderful herbs in it. And we were talking about that CAC liquid. That is one of the things that is great for cleaning up the bloodstream. We're talking about Coscara sagrada bark and buckthorn bark, dandelion root, licorice root, burdock root, red clover blossoms, pau d'orco bark, astragalus root for that immune system, stevia, give it a pleasant taste. There's that milk thistle seed extract that helps to renew liver cells. And there's fringe tree bark. That's another great liver herb. Echinacea root, golden seal root. There's some ginger root in there and some fennel seed and yellow dock for the blood, poke root for the lymph, and orange oil so that gives it a pleasant flavor. And that is called CAC liquid number 1078. What do you think of that liver formula, Doc?
Yeah, that's a great one. I've used that before from years ago. It is a good product. There's no question about it.
Great.
Absolutely no question about it, because you got some great stuff in there, because the mushrooms are good for fighting against cancer cells too. And you drink a certain mushroom tea that I get from Montana, from Dr. Green up there. He is a guru. I mean, with cancer stuff, he is unbelievable. And you drink 16 ounces a day for 4 days, and you rest the body for 30 days, and you repeat that, and it just goes in there. It just reduces tumors and cancer cells, and it just makes it go away. It's amazing stuff.
Right. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that we can do. That CAC liquid, that Truman's fiber special with bentonite clay, eating lots of vegetables, kale, broccoli, lettuce, cabbage. These are all. What do you think?
That's right. I'm fixing to make some fresh sauerkraut. How's that sound?
There you go. There you go. That's what they use in Germany. That's why I remember they called them krauts back, because they ate a lot of sauerkraut. And if you go to Asia, they're going to give you some miso or some kimchi. All these fermented vegetables, because there's a couple of things your body really wants. It wants that digestion. It wants probiotics. It wants the correct bacteria. It wants the correct yeast in there. So things like kombucha mushroom and things like that. And then there's a lot of times the glands are sluggish when you're fighting hepatitis. So there's a gland rejuvenator formula, and of course there's herbs like graviola, which is kills parasites. And it works on liver problems and reduces fevers, and so there's just a lot of things. There's a complete cancer formula called CF that has a lot of cancer herbs combined together in it. That number 1084, it's got cat's claw, una de gato. It's got violet leaves, and let me tell somebody that. Okay. Yes, hold on just a minute. We're on a worldwide international broadcast. Can you join us over your telephone?
Oh, sure.
Okay, 503-606-6064. please call that number and join us.
Okay.
All right, and I'll call you back after the broadcast, or maybe we'll talk a little bit later on the broadcast. Okay?
Oh,
Okay, thank you. All right, so multitasking there, Doc. So,
I understand that. I do it every day.
so,
I didn't know there's any other way. I didn't know there's any other way to do this.
No, absolutely. So the burdock root, the echinacea, the golden seal, the yellow dock, the rose hips, the black cohosh, the garlic, nettle leaf, lemongrass. Lemongrass is antiviral. White oak, white oak bark, fenugreek seed, juniper berries, Oregon grapefruit, plantain leaf, thyme leaf, more burdock root, sheep sorrel, and turkey rhubarb root, and slippery elm bark, and graviola, and moringa leaf, all together in that one formula called CF. So that's going to really help the blood. And these are some tools that we have. But I would suggest that you might give Doc Miles a call, and anybody who wants to get some diagnostic testing done and really find out what's really going on. Let me see if I can find Doc's number here. I've got it right here. I know I do. Hold on. I got to turn the right page. One more page. I found it. Doc Miles, 25 miles outside of Austin, Texas. That's where he is. And his phone number is 512-868-9867. I'll say that again because you're going to want to keep this number handy. This is Doc Miles, and he's a naturopathic doctor, and he is very knowledgeable. And his phone number is 512-868-9867. So any other suggestions for us, Doc Miles, when we're talking about hepatitis?
Well, hepatitis is a strange thing, and a lot of people are getting it. A lot of people walk around with it and don't even know it. But it all stems from the liver, and you've got to get the liver in good shape. Once you get the liver in good shape, the body will rebuild itself, and it can shed all the toxins, okay, if you do the right things. And that's what you talk about all the time, and me and myself do the same thing. But, you know, the medical doctors just give you all these harsh drugs and harsh drugs and harsh drugs, and it makes you sick as a horse, and it just doesn't complete the job. I mean, you know, it might slow down a little bit, but nature provides. God gives us everything that we need to survive. But the medical groups or the drug companies, they'll take a DNA of something, you know, like the Montana U. They'll take a DNA of the Montana U tips, and they'll make it into a drug and put it in your arm, call it chemotherapy. Well, we got the natural stuff available to us, which is a Montana U capsules in the raw form. You know, I take them all the time just to maintain myself and make sure I don't, you know, come down with something crazy, you know. But life is good if you make it good. But we have to put forth the effort and get the knowledge together to make it happen. And when we do, we can change our life. I mean, that's just plain and simple, you know. We're not curing anything. We're balancing the body so the body can heal. Once you balance the body knows nothing but healing, period. But when you fill it with toxins, it's going to go haywire. It's going to catch all kinds of diseases. Your immune system is going to go down. This is going to change. That's going to change. You end up with a whole series of issues. And I've seen people with 20 prescriptions come in there. You know, and I knew none of them worked. It just held it in place, and, you know, they'll never get well. They've been taking for years. You know, just like some of the iron. You know, they take iron tablets for 10 years, and they come to see me, and they're still anemic. So I use a product called F-Enzyme. It's got iron with the enzymes in it to break it down, plus B12. You know, those two together will turn around your hemoglobin levels and your hemoglobin levels and get you out of an anemic situation very rapidly. But the medical doctors don't, like I said, they don't study 5 minutes of nutrition, so they don't know how to do this.
Exactly.
You know, God bless them. Some of them are really trying. Some of them are starting to step out of the box a little bit, but they have to be careful so they don't lose the license. Some of them send patients to me because they know that I will help them when they can't, and they will send them to me. And I think that, that says a lot to me for a medical doctor to send me a patient. It happens a lot, and it makes me very, very, very proud, especially the heart doctors and Austin Heart Hospital. Some of them send them to me because the people will not take a statin drug, because a statin drug will cause you to have Alzheimer's. 80% of the people that take it, and I've seen the medical study, but they don't release that to the public. They don't want them to know because the drug companies are making billions of dollars off these statin drugs. And, and Brittany makes up my lipid support there in Albany, and, man, it drops in 90 days, and it adjusts your cholesterol levels. It's an amazing product. But that's why they send them to me, because they know since they're not going to take a statin, and they don't want them to die, they say, you go see Dr. Miles in Georgetown, Texas, and he will give you something that will help you with your cholesterol. And they come in there and get it, and it's amazing. When they change their life in 90 days, they're a patient for life at that point. It's pretty amazing.